All right, everyone. Welcome to midweek and also end of week wrap up for the 23rd of December, 2021. The reason I didn't do this on Wednesday and I'm doing it on Thursday is because market is closed on Friday, if you didn't know, for Christmas Eve, essentially celebrating Christmas that day, and then we're closed until Monday. So I figure midweek and end of week at the same time. So new all-time highs is exciting. A new pop in Bitcoin, I guess, is getting interesting, is exciting as well. So let's not waste any time and just get right into it. So essentially what I'm looking at here on Bitcoin is just continuing this range. Ever since we fell out of bed after failing to make new highs here and we bounced right at these prior lows, I'm basically looking at Bitcoin as long as we're in this range. I'm not really super interested. And it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but while we're in ranges like this, I think there is something to be said for just sitting out and waiting. Now, that doesn't mean I'm avoiding the crypto space entirely. I got triggered in some of this ENG yesterday as we broke this downtrend line. I just liked the fact that we were holding support here. So I'm in some of that. I'm in some sand USD. I don't really know what that does. But here we are, we nice strong name, and then we've had this nice downtrend and we broke out of it. So I'm in some of that as well. So take a look at a lot of the smaller type of crypto names. The CRV is one that's interesting to me. Algo is interesting to me. Cordana, a ADA USD, because it took a big long move to get back down to the support area, and it's bouncing from there. So, essentially, take a look at the ones that are moving, stick out of the ones that are don't. If you're a Bitcoin maximalist or something, you're just going to be holding anyway. But for the rest of us, sticking in moving is always a good thing. So now into the equity markets. So let's go over to this and let's start by taking a look at the SPY. So in the SPY here, you can see that we basically hit all-time highs right here. I'm just going to bring up my little ETF watcher like that. And let's sort for things that are strong over the last, 2 weeks. So the SPY, we almost made new all-time closing highs, and just right at the end of the day, we sold off just to close right below it. But for all intents and purposes, we are at all-time highs. So there's really nothing to say technically about all-time highs other than they're bullish. So 450 is what we got to watch on the way down here. We have two equal lows there. If we violate 450 and we hold below it, that would be the thing that would probably actually, for the first time in a year and a half, turn me into somewhat skeptical about this bull market. Until then, we are just in a bull market, and this was just a nice little bull flag in a bull market. Chopped around for a while, and then maybe we'll continue higher. But who knows? If we dive in a little deeper, however, on the MDY, which is our mid cap index, ignoring the small caps, you can see how much weaker we are relative to these old highs in the mid cap index. And same with the IWM, which is our small caps, right? Again, still using this old high as a reference, you can see how much weaker we are in the small caps. So mid caps, small caps have some work to do. Large caps are doing really, really well. So some things I just wanted to point out to you. One is this Drive ETF, which is a EV and autonomous vehicle ETF. You can see we broke out here and we actually came back to touch this kind of prior resistance area right here. And that's looking like it's acting as support, so we could get some continuation off of that. That's very interesting to me, right? So once you see an index act like that, you can start to get deeper into that index and say, okay, well, what are my favorite EV names? Let me take a look at those, because as the index moves, the underlying names will move as well. XLY, consumer discretionary. And again, I always describe consumer discretionary for people who don't know is just stuff you have to buy that you don't actually have to buy, right? So, Apples and iPhones or computers or things like that. And you can see that it was the same kind of thing. We had this little base going on right here, and we had those highs, and then we came back and tested it. So prior resistance became future support, kind of acting as we think it should. The only other thing I wanted to watch from the index point of view is this XLV, healthcare. Healthcare is making new all-time highs. It's incredibly strong. So that's something to look at as well. Now, a few individual names I'll leave you guys with that I like. One is BJ here, BJ Wholesale Group. We are holding these gap up lows. So this gap must have been because of earnings, but we have these lows going on in through here. So as long as we hold those, I'm interested to see if we start to get a push off of that, then I think that's an interesting look. LAC, I wanted to point out. LAC, if we draw our horizontal line back here, you can see that we're still a little bit from prior resistance. However, we're putting in this nice kind of declining wedge. So if we break out of there, I think that's something that we could look at. And last was UEC, which is a uranium play. So we've done lithium, uranium, and retail. So this uranium play, which I just made a short video about, essentially has come back down to, do it on the weekly chart. This area here of prior resistance may act as future support. And, recently we've been putting in this kind of wedge pattern where we have some triple lows down here to play off of as support, and a break of trend is something that interests me on that. All right, guys, so that is going to be it for me. There'll be no live stream this weekend, just FYI. I'm going to take the 3-day weekend off and enjoy that with the family, and that's what I recommend you guys do as well. If I don't see you before, at least before Christmas, Merry Christmas to all of you, and if I don't see you before the New Year's, Happy New Year, and we'll get back into it soon after. Trade safe.